Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bluebaggers Edge. And of course, we are here to preview the round 21 clash with Fremantle. And what can we say? What can we say? We come up against a side who has finals credentials and virtually just needs to win, continue winning in order to solidify their chances of finishing in the top 8. And they've been doing just that. One of the more informed sides in the competition, Freo, and really stamping their authority on the competition. So heading to this game, it's going to be a very, very tough prospect to knock them off, especially given we are facing them on their home deck at Optus Stadium. So let's have a quick look at the teams first and foremost. And in terms of the ins and outs, well, for Freo, unchanged lineup and, winning lineup, winning formula, why would you change a thing? Compared to us, we have Sam Doherty, of course, who has retired, unfortunately, bidding the old veteran farewell and thank you for your services across the journey, the inspirational leader that he is. Charlie Curnow is ruled out for not just this game, but for the remainder of the year as well. So going to, miss Charles. It's a bit of a disappointing end for him. Finally was kind of working his way back into form, and I don't know where this injury came from, if it was something that was kind of niggling him through the season. We don't know, and I think it's probably one thing that kind of annoys me with the Carlton Football Club is that we tend to play players through injury, and it's happened across the course of, as long as I can remember, really. Like, it's happened with Cripper, during the COVID seasons. I think he had a crook back, crook shoulder. Still, we continue to play him. Walshy in recent times as well. Hasn't been 100%, but still we continue to play him up until a point where he just can't play anymore. And then we saw last year as well with Charlie and his ankle injury, and he's, unfortunately had his season cut short yet again, virtually, around about the same point as what it was last season, so or thereabouts. So not the best end for Charles, as I said, especially considering he was, working his way back into form and, rectifying the, 4 weeks in a row where he was held goalless. So unfortunate end there, but likewise as well with Ches. He goes out with a bit of a knee niggle as well. We don't know the extent of it because he is listed as a TBC in terms of his time frame upon return, and wouldn't surprise me to see him put on ice as well. Now, Ches is probably, it's been good to see that he's been able to stay on the park, just in terms of, we all know the issues that he has had with his hamstring injuries, and knock on wood that it doesn't return, but, he has been able to continue playing and not sustaining any of those recurrent injuries to his hamstrings. So that's been a bit of a positive, but again, he could be out for the season. Returning to the team, we have Flynn Young, which is good to see. I mean, I want to see what this bloke has to offer. We obviously took him in the mid-season rookie draft, and, I want to give this bloke full games. Don't give him the sub. No doubt, of course, that our man Cooper Lord will be the sub yet again in, what has been half of his season as the sub, which is just utterly ridiculous, but don't get me started on that. I say as I've started myself up on that very topic. Alongside him, Lewis Young earned his spot back in the team. I mean, with Charles going down, it means that we obviously need to replace him with a tall. Could have been a Hudson O'Keefe, but Hudson O'Keefe kind of pinch hits the ruck, and considering we've got TDK and we have, obviously Pitnet as well, probably a little bit overkill if we have, a bit of a pinch hit ruckman in Hudson O'Keefe, but wouldn't have minded to see him come in. But Lewis Young, a battler that he is, tries his heart out and actually looks pretty good when played up forward. So would like to see what he can offer in the last few games of the season. And Frank Evans, as much as I give him shit, he actually played, a half-decent game when he got concussed up until then. So, credit where it's due, give him another game. But again, if he doesn't show anything like he has in his past 5 games out of the 6 that he's played, then I think we should just probably let things go when it comes to Frankie Evans. But I don't know what the fascination is, but hey, our season's gone. At this point, who really gives a shit? I'm beyond caring. It's beyond the point of me critiquing it and criticising it because it's happened so often where he's just being given games. But again, he deserves it after the performance he put in the previous game before he got concussed. So those are the ins, those are the outs. And, I've said it how many weeks now, but structurally, why are we rolling with like 6 small forwards? And it's this that I reference when I talk about Voss's stubbornness and the fact that he just wants to roll with this, no matter who the matchup is almost. Like it seems as though we go into weeks, week after week, with this, mindset approach that we need to have 6 small forwards. It just does not make sense. We've got Corey Durden, we've got Frankie Evans, we've got Flynn Young, if you want to call him that, you can kind of play that role. We've got Will White, we've got Lockie Fogarty, and we've got Jesse Motlop. I mean, Zach Williams also plays a bit of a small, mid-sized role as well. But come on, what are we doing? What are we doing? Getting down to brass tacks, though, I think, it just says it all. Jesse Motlop named at centre-half forward. Just stupid. Obviously, he's not going to line up there, but it always amuses me when I see that. Like, what's the purpose of it? TDK is named in the ruck, but, we will expect him to probably line up as a centre-half forward, and I expect that Lewis Young will line up as sort of that third tall up forward, probably a role that suits him compared to playing that focal point role as a centre-half forward. What else is there to say really about this? Looking at the middle, Akers earned his spot back in the team. There's rumours about him potentially being moved on. Of course, all of this we'll speak about post-season, but I just wanted to touch on that. A very, very interesting thing, but I don't know if there's going to be any takers out there for Blakers. Of course, Cripper and Cooper Lord. Now, I don't want Coops to be the starting sub again. Please, Michael Voss, before you get the chop, just do us a favour and allow our youngsters to have a full crack. Have a full game, okay? If you're going to name anyone as a sub, do it to Frankie Evans. Maybe, could you do it to a Corey Durden? Maybe, considering we're rolling with that six small forward line. Like, what? I guess the one big surprise in terms of non-selections would be Jordan Boyd. Sam Doherty being out, he was kind of drifting more down towards defence, but sort of along the wing as well. And I don't know where Jordan Boyd sits now. And I'm sure he's scratching his head thinking the exact same thing, like, where do I go from here? I'm actually going to be retained on the list heading into 2026 because it seems as though he's a bit of a whipping boy from the coaching staff. Puts in solid performances in the VFL, doesn't earn a recall. And yeah, it's just a perplexing one. But good to see as well, Harry O'Farrell, the Hoff. He's showed some really promising signs, which is good to see. Matty Carroll sticking around in the team as well. And Lockie Cowan putting in some, decent form as well at various stages. Outside of that, let's go into, of course, the stats side of things and look at the differentials. We'll go through the Willow ratings preview side of things as well. It's always interesting looking at that side of it in terms of, previous history and everything else, of which, surprisingly, we actually have pretty good recent history against the Dockers. But let's first and foremost go through the differential in stats for season averages. Now, surprisingly, we actually average more in disposals compared to Freo. In terms of inside 50s, we are very, very similar, 53.6 to Freo's 52.5. Disposal efficiency, no surprise here. We are, I think, the worst rated disposal efficient side in the competition, with Freo at 73.4% compared to our 70.2%, which is just absolutely putrid. Efficiency inside 50, again, no surprise here. Freo beat us easily here, 48.6% to our 44.6%. Stoppage-wise, hitouts, we averaged 34.5 to Freo's 42.2. So I totally expect us to get absolutely pulverized in the ruck, considering that we have, there is Sean Darcy, but Luke Jackson is the one, I think, for me, that does the most damage. His hit-out to advantage rate from memory, when he, was taking the number one ruck, really did speak volumes to the effectiveness that he had, because he was one of the better hit-out to advantage ruckmen in the competition. So we're going to get done there. But beside all that, we only averaged 34.5% to Freo's 42.2%. Clearance-wise, we averaged 39.3% and Freo 38.1%. And in terms of possessions, so we actually average more possessions contested-wise, 138.1 to Freo's 131.5. Now, Michael Voss will be unbuckling his pants looking at that because, of course, our entire game plan, supposedly, according to him, is built off contested possessions and our contested work, despite the fact that it doesn't actually win us games. The old stubborn bastard. But anyway, uncontested possessions, we averaged 211.9 to Freo's 207.6. Turnovers, no surprise, 65.6, our way to Freo's 62.3. On the marking front, now this is surprising. We actually average more marks overall compared to Freo, 91.5 to their 79.7. Marks inside 50, 11.9 for us, and Freo 10.1. And contested marks, we actually average more as well, 10.3 to Freo's 9.6. So across the board, this is kind of the area that we actually better Freo, surprisingly. We say that now, of course, and you watch their big hulking forwards taking grab after grab after grab. It's always the way. Scoring-wise, we actually averaged 10.9 goals a game and Freo 12.5. And behinds, they're exactly the same for both sides, 10.9. Defense-wise, we average 63.3 tackles a game to Freo 60.2. Tackles inside 50, 11.2 to Freo's 10.6. So we actually do a little bit of better work there on the defense and tackling and pressure front. Probably not so much pressure, but we will, by extension include that. But, our pressure rating is pretty bad most games, and especially not sustainable across 4 quarters. And 1% is 44.2, our way to Freo's 43.6. With that, let's have a quick look at the match preview side of things on Wheelo ratings. And the one thing that is interesting, now let me just resize this so you can see all the stats and they're not cut off. The interesting thing here is that we actually have won 7 of the past 10 encounters against Freo, which is very interesting. And traditionally, we actually score and play pretty well at Optus Stadium. Now, as we know, they're kind of our bunny in a way. So when we look at the history side of things, it gives us confidence in thinking that, it's not outside of the realms of possibility for us to actually, upset Freo. But then you look at, recent form line, recent games, and that kind of washes everything away. It really is a different Freo team that we're playing here. If you look here in terms of their recent form, Freo, they've won 4 of their past 5, and they've taken some decent scalps against Collingwood by a point, and Hawthorn as well, which was, an interesting game in itself as well. So they've had a couple of easy-ish wins against St Kilda, or easy opponents, and of course the Eagles, but to be able to topple Collingwood, and I think that was a game where Freo came back and beat them. So, their mental fortitude is on a different plane compared to ours. And compare that to the form line of us. They've won 4 of their past 5. We've only won 1 of our past 5 and lost 4 of our past 5. So, yeah, it's different kettle of fish here. Really is. Let's go back to the Wheelo ratings and look at the summary in terms of our rating, how they rate us for attack, defense, and then the combined for overall. And for us, attack-wise, negative 7.5, defense, positive 1.8 for an overall of negative 5.7. Compare that to Freo of a positive 1.6 in attack, a positive 5.1 in defense, combining for an overall positive 6.7 compared to our negative 5.7. So you would think there that they're twice as good as us looking at that. And no real surprise at all. Team stats-wise, I kind of went through that already. And it's very surprising we actually win a whole host of these categories here, like marks inside 50, marks, clearances, contested work, areas that we have been bested in the past from opposition teams and quite easily. But, does that probably speak to more of an even matchup? Maybe. But, we've got to remember that we are missing some key cogs now with Charlie being out. I mean, Harry's back as well, which is good. But, having said all that, talking about players that are missing, if they're available, they're not in the best form, as we saw with Charlie. So I don't know if we can really use that as an excuse. But, not having your best personnel in the park, it obviously counts as something. So for me, I think, where it's going to be won and lost, we'll have to look at the stats side of things. So team stats. So as I always do, let's go through and have a look at the score sources side of things and see if there is an area that we can exploit. Now, Freo actually, they score the 5th most from kick-ins, which is interesting. We score the 6th least via kick-ins. Stoppage-wise, Freo actually, similar to us, they're 1, 2, 3, we're 4th worst in terms of scores via stoppage, and they are 8th worst. Turnover-wise, Freo actually score the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th most via turnovers, which doesn't bode well for us because we concede via turnover a fair bit, and we don't really capitalise on turnovers that much. We're ranked 7th worst in the competition. Now, let's have a look at opposition averages in terms of where they concede. So, score sources, Freo concede the 3rd least via kick-ins, which is no real benefit to us anyway because we don't score much through that avenue. Stoppage-wise, we concede the 5th least via stoppages, which is good. And Freo, they're about 4 rungs below us. Turnover-wise, we concede just above the league average. And Freo, they're pretty stingy. They are ranked the 5th best in the competition. So all that to say, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game. I don't think it's going to be a massive, at least I'm not hoping it's going to be a massive blowout, but I do think Freo, with what they have on the line, they have to win. And I think they kind of have to make up maybe a bit of, let's have a look at the ladder. I don't know if they need to make a percentage as well, but that kind of gives them extra motivation if need be, because if percentage is lacking, which theirs actually is rated the 2nd worst of teams currently in the top 8. So it'd be of benefit for them to go to town on us. Not that I think they can, willy-nilly, but I reckon it's going to be a closer encounter than what many people think. Now, I don't know if that's going to come to fruition. I don't know if that's me being overly optimistic, but just knowing that we play well against them, especially on their home deck, gives me confidence to say that it might be close for portions of the match, but it may come to the point where we sort of peter out and Freo sort of, run away with the win. I'm going to predict Freo by around about 28 points. I think we will keep it close throughout. I don't think we're going to be reasonably hitting the lead and sustaining a lead across the majority of the match, but, we may hit the lead at one point, but I think these odds here, $1.08 to Sportsbet, at Sportsbet, for Carlton, $8. I think it should be a little bit, more even than that, probably about $1.20 Freo's way compared to us, just factoring in, of course, that recent history against Freo. But we all know, with what's on the line, Freo will come out firing, and unless they're asleep, I don't think they're going to falter this one. So that's pretty much it, ladies and gents. That is it for this roundup for the review, or preview, I should say. As you can see, my brain is already clocking off from season 2025, but we've got, 4 rounds or four games, including this one to go. And then we kind of look towards the postseason, which for me at this stage is the more exciting part of it, and not for reasons related to the draft and trade, which normally is. It's wanting to see the changes that are going to be made in the back room, more so than what we see on field. Because, I imagine all of you out there are just as over what we've seen for a majority of the season to, clock off and just not worry about it. I'm really here to see if there's anything the younger brigade can offer, What can they, give us in terms of hope and insight into the future? So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. But with that, ladies and gents, thank you as always for tuning in. If you are tuning in for the first time, please consider giving a sub to a fellow bagger. That would be absolutely fantastic. Every little bit of sub, every sub, I should say, helps just expose the channel with YouTube's algorithm. It just, crops up in terms of promoting our channel a bit more to other potential blue baggers out there. So, if you want to support the channel, feel free to do so by hitting that subscribe button. But with that, ladies and gents, we'll leave things there. And we will be back, of course, for the review of this game. And until then, go Baggers.